Welcome to Macomb Paranormal Investigations and Research. Let's dive into the shadows. Tonight, we're heading out onto the roads of Michigan. Not the busy freeways packed with traffic in daylight, but the lonely highways, winding back roads, forgotten lanes, and dark stretches of pavement where the trees seem to close in and the headlights only reveal what is directly ahead. These are the places where stories are born. These are the places where people claim they have seen something impossible. There is something deeply unsettling about the road at night. Maybe it's because when we drive, we surrender ourselves to the unknown ahead. We trust that the road continues where it should. We trust that what we see is real. But thousands of people have told stories that challenge that trust. They speak of figures standing in the road that vanish before impact. Children appearing on the shoulder with black hollow eyes. Women in white dresses hitchhiking into the darkness. Strange lights pacing vehicles for miles. Shadow forms crossing highways where no person could survive. Michigan is full of history. Native lands, frontier settlements, logging camps, industrial boomtowns, abandoned farms, forgotten graveyards, and cities that rose and fell. Every road cuts through layers of memory. Some believe those memories don't always stay buried. Imagine this. It's after midnight. You're driving alone. The radio crackles with static. The road is empty for miles. Then, in your headlights, someone is standing dead center in the lane. Many Michigan drivers have told nearly identical stories. A person appears suddenly in the road. They slam on the brakes. Their heart pounds. Sometimes they swerve. Sometimes they brace for impact. But when the car stops, there's nothing there. No body, no footsteps, no sound. Just silence and the ticking of the engine cooling in the dark. One of the most famous places connected to stories like these is Hines Drive, a long scenic road stretching through Wayne County. During the day, it's peaceful. Parks, trees, joggers, cyclists, and families enjoying the outdoors. But after dark, the atmosphere changes. Drivers have reported seeing figures near bridges, shadowy forms in tree lines, and people dressed in old-fashioned clothing walking near the road, only to disappear when approached. Some claim to see a woman near one of the bridges, standing motionless, facing the water. Others say they passed a man walking with his head lowered, only to glance in the mirror and realize no one was there. Paranormal investigators have visited Hines Drive for years, recording unexplained voices, odd temperature drops, and sudden equipment malfunctions. Is it imagination fueled by darkness, or does the road hold something else? Then there is Belle Isle, the island park in Detroit surrounded by the Detroit River. During daylight, it's beautiful, historic, and iconic. But Belle Isle also carries centuries of legend. Long before roads and bridges, native peoples knew the island. Later came settlers, soldiers, disease, tragedy, and countless human stories layered over the land. Modern visitors have reported apparitions near wooded areas and the old structures on the island. Some say they've seen figures dressed in clothing from another era. Others describe hearing voices in places where no one stands. At night, some drivers crossing the bridge onto or off Belle Isle have claimed to see someone standing at the side of the road, watching traffic pass. By the time they look back, the figure is gone. Road hauntings often center on women in white. This legend exists all over the world, but Michigan has its own versions. Drivers on rural roads have described a pale woman in a flowing dress asking for help or silently walking near the shoulder. If offered a ride, she disappears before reaching her destination. Sometimes she leaves behind a wet seat, mud, or the scent of flowers. Theories vary. Some say these stories come from real tragedies, accidents, drownings, abandoned brides, lost mothers, victims of violence. Others say the white dress symbolizes mourning and memory. Skeptics argue these tales spread because they are powerful archetypes, repeated until people begin expecting to see them. But expectation doesn't explain every report. One driver in southeastern Michigan described traveling a farm road around 2 in the morning. He noticed what looked like a woman standing near a mailbox. She wore something pale that reflected the headlights. Thinking she needed help, he slowed. As he drew closer, she turned toward him. He said her face was blank, featureless, almost smooth. He accelerated in panic. Looking back seconds later, there was no one there. Michigan's backroads can be especially eerie because of their isolation. Long stretches with no homes, no businesses, no traffic, cornfields in summer, bare trees in winter, fog rolling low over the ground. In those environments, the mind becomes hyper-alert. Every shadow looks like movement. Every branch resembles a reaching arm. Yet some stories go beyond mistaken perception. There are repeated accounts of phantom children seen near roadsides, usually two children, usually late at night. They stand close together and do not wave or call for help. They simply stare. Drivers often report an overwhelming sense of dread before even seeing their faces. Some claim the eyes look wrong, too dark, too empty, too still. Whether these stories involve the modern legend of black-eyed children or something older, they have spread across North America, including Michigan. The symbolism is powerful. Children should represent innocence and vulnerability. But when they appear cold, silent, and unnatural, it creates immediate fear. One woman claims she was driving home after a late shift when she saw two children standing near a wooded road in heavy rain. Concerned, she pulled over and cracked the window. She said they asked to be let in, but never moved closer. Then she noticed their eyes were entirely black. She drove away in terror. Later, she returned in daylight to the location and found no homes nearby for miles. Can stories like this be verified? Rarely. But the emotional conviction of witnesses is often intense. Then there are the lights. Michigan roads, especially in rural and lake regions, have long histories of mysterious lights reported by drivers. Orbs pacing cars, headlights appearing behind them with no vehicle attached, bright glows hovering over fields, lights crossing roads and vanishing into forests. Some can be explained by atmospheric conditions, reflections, swamp gas, distant traffic, or electrical phenomena. But not all reports are so simple. A man driving through northern Michigan described seeing headlights rapidly approaching from behind on an empty road. He pulled over to let the speeding vehicle pass. The lights grew brighter, closer, almost on top of him. Then they split apart and vanished into the woods on both sides of the road simultaneously. Another claimed a glowing sphere floated beside his truck for nearly a mile, matching speed before darting upward and disappearing. Stories of strange lights often intersect with older folklore. Native traditions across many tribes speak of spirit lights, warnings, ancestors, or energies tied to certain lands and waters. While beliefs differ widely and should never be generalized, many cultures recognize that unusual lights in lonely places could carry meaning. Michigan's forests and waterways hold ancient histories far older than modern pavement. Roads themselves can create paranormal legends because they are transitional spaces. You are between places, not home, not destination, moving through darkness. Human beings have always viewed crossroads, bridges, trails, and boundaries as spiritually charged, places where worlds overlap, places where the normal rules feel thinner. That may explain why bridges so often appear in hauntings. Many Michigan bridges have stories attached to them. Crying babies heard near rivers, figures seen hanging beneath spans, women jumping into water, men struck by trains, shadow forms crossing rail bridges and vanishing mid-step. One common legend tells of hearing footsteps behind you on a bridge when no one is there. Another involves a figure seen walking toward drivers, only to disappear once illuminated by headlights. Bridges symbolize crossing from one state to another, land to land, life to death, known to unknown. It's no surprise the human imagination places ghosts there, but some encounters are more physical. Truckers and long-distance drivers have reported sensations of being watched. Sudden cold spots in sealed cabs, radios turning on by themselves, and seeing figures in rearview mirrors where no passenger sits. Fatigue may explain many such incidents, but experienced drivers often insist they know the difference between tiredness and something truly strange. One former driver said he glanced in his side mirror during a snowstorm and saw someone running beside the trailer at highway speed, a dark figure keeping pace effortlessly. He checked again, and it was gone. Michigan winters add another layer to road legends. Snow muffles sound, visibility drops, familiar landmarks vanish beneath white emptiness. It becomes easier to feel alone in a way that borders on primal fear. During blizzards, drivers have described seeing stranded people waving for help who later could not be found. Others report footprints leading into fields with no return tracks. Some tell of hearing knocks on their car while stuck in snow, only to find no one outside. Could some of these stories stem from real tragedies preserved in local memory? Absolutely. Roads have witnessed countless accidents, storms, and sudden deaths. Communities remember. Stories become warnings. Warnings become legends. Don't stop there. Don't drive that road after midnight. If you see someone standing there, keep going. Sometimes folklore is how danger survives across generations. But even knowing that doesn't erase the fear. Picture yourself driving a narrow two-lane road lined with trees. No streetlights, no moon. Your headlights catch something pale between the trunks. It moves closer, then faster. Then suddenly it is at the edge of the pavement. You blink. Nothing. Many paranormal researchers believe repeated sightings in one area may involve residual hauntings. In this theory, traumatic events imprint on a location like a recording. Under the right conditions, the scene replays. No awareness. No interaction, just an echo. That might explain figures walking the same route, appearing at the same time, performing the same motion. Others believe some encounters are intelligent hauntings, entities aware of witnesses, capable of reacting, even trying to communicate. Then there are those who think road apparitions are not ghosts at all, but something stranger. Interdimensional anomalies, time slips, psychological projections triggered by stress, or entities from folklore given modern form. Because what is a ghost hitchhiker if not an ancient spirit traveler adapted to the age of cars? Michigan also has roads near cemeteries, battle sites, former asylums, and abandoned communities. Every one of these places feeds local tales. Near old graveyards, drivers report seeing people dressed in black crossing roads before dissolving into mist. Near abandoned hospitals, some claim ambulatory sounds, sirens, or figures in windows. Near vanished towns, headlights reveal foundations swallowed by woods and shapes moving where no town remains. Even when nothing supernatural occurs, these places carry emotional weight, and that matters. The human mind responds to atmosphere. Darkness, history, silence, expectation, isolation. Combined together, they create conditions where ordinary things feel extraordinary. Yet not every witness can be dismissed. Some are sober, calm, experienced, and deeply reluctant to share what happened. Those are often the most compelling stories. A retired police officer once described patrolling a lonely road near dawn. He saw an elderly man standing near the shoulder in winter clothing during dangerous cold. Concerned, he turned around immediately. The road behind him was empty for half a mile in both directions. No footprints in the snow. He never found an explanation. Stories like that stay with people for decades because they strike at certainty. We want the world to be stable, predictable, but one impossible moment can fracture that confidence forever. So what should you do if you encounter something strange on the road? First, stay safe. Keep control of the vehicle. Don't swerve recklessly. Don't stop in dangerous areas. If you believe a real person needs help, call emergency services from a safe location. If it appears paranormal, document what you can once safe. Time, place, weather, details, emotional reaction. Often memory fades quickly after shock. And if you return later in daylight, you may see the place differently. What looked like a person might be a sign. What looked like eyes might be reflectors. Or it may remain unexplained. That uncertainty is where legends live. Michigan's haunted roads are not famous because every story is proven. They endure because roads are where modern people still meet darkness face to face. We lock our doors, turn on lights, and live in controlled spaces. But on the road at night, we enter the old world again. Alone, vulnerable, moving through unknown territory. The trees do not care who we are. The fields keep their secrets, and the road only shows us what the headlights reach. Everything beyond that remains hidden. So the next time you're driving late through Michigan and the radio fills with static, when you notice there hasn't been another car for miles, when something appears at the far edge of your beams, standing perfectly still, ask yourself one question. Did you really see someone, or did something see you first? This is Macomb Paranormal Investigations and Research. Drive safe and keep watching the shadows.